going to be working on a 2015 Jeep Wrangler. This one has a 3.6 liter engine, notorious for having these rocker arm and lifter issues, rather rocker arm issues. A little bit of background: I am not a mechanic. I know very little about cars in general. I have done some work on vehicles. I did some work on this particular one here, where I changed the rocker arms on the driver's side not too long ago. Point is, I don't know much about cars, and what I wanted to do is document that someone who knows nothing can actually get an engine fixed by using YouTube videos. So call me the clueless mechanic, whatever you want to call me, but in the end, I found that thanks to YouTube, I could do things that I couldn't previously do, and especially with step-by-step instructions when it comes to some of these engines. So we're going to work on this passenger side today, which I've never done. It is, I believe, a little more difficult because of the fuse box and because of the battery and all these other things, the battery compartment that has to be removed, but it could be fun. We'll see. In any case, if the car doesn't work, doesn't really matter. It's not mine, it's my son's, so I guess he'll just get his steps in. So let's see what we can do. So we're going to need a few things for this job, and one of the key ones is this phaser tooling kit, kind of tension release for the chains. This is something that you can buy on Amazon, very inexpensive, about $30. Make sure you get the one with the locking pin and the blocks as well. You'll also need, of course, some torque wrenches, various sockets. The key thing you're going to need here are the rocker arms. I'm doing only one side today, which is the passenger side, which means that I need 12 of these rocker arms and 12 of these lifters. These are the ones that go bad. This is the one that click, 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 click. You can hear them when they're loose, so you have to replace all of them. Highly recommend you replace all of them. As far as the cams themselves, that might be something I need, but I didn't want to buy them ahead of time until I knew whether the cam was scored or not. And of course, we need a computer so we can follow the YouTube instructions. And when I get really ticked off and fed up, I will eventually have a little bit of this to calm me down, as is often the case when I work on projects. So first thing we'll do here is remove the battery. Fairly straightforward, 10mm bolt. Just get that out. Make sure that you've got a tray where you keep all your bolts. Some of the videos recommend that you put the bolt right back when you're done taking it out. I think that's a good idea for many of these things, and you'll see me doing this all along. I know that there's an order of importance. I couldn't tell you what it is when it comes to removing things, but in this particular case, it didn't seem to matter. So I will try to get these cables out of the way, get my face out of the way while I'm at it, and let's get this one pulled out. So I actually dropped my my socket. This is a tool that I highly recommend. This is a little magnet that you can go and get your tools with, worth the $5 and then some. So let's try to get to this bolt. For that, I'll use a little bit of an extension. Put this together and see if we can get to it. Seems like it's loose. Let's get our little handy dandy magnet. And it is not loose enough because it's not letting go. Apparently I have to unthread this completely. So let's get back to it and get this sucker out completely. Making that a non-issue at that point. That sucker just doesn't want to come out, or it's super long. So if you're wondering why I had the whiskey here at the beginning of the video, this is exactly why. Now, I'm not at that point yet, but this is a rather unusually long sword. All right, well, there she is. okay? It is definitely a long one. So let's see if the battery will now come out. Of course, there's a little plastic piece that holds the battery in place. Pretty sure I'm gonna have to try to get some leverage here to get this sucker out, because these things are notoriously heavy. All right, she is loose. And let's get her out. There we go. So the next step is going to be to remove the air intake. All right, you got this entire piece here going all the way down there. Two 10mm bolts that we're going to take out. We also will be unplugging this little sensor here. Make sure that you take this out so you don't rip it out when you take everything out. And these little, I forget what to call them. I don't even know what to call them. These retaining clips, basically. I think they're 3/16, but you can also use a flat screwdriver, loosen these up to take them out. So this is our next step. All right, so fully aware that they make power tools for all of this. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic. I don't have every tool under the sun. Don't have all the cool gadgets. So some of this stuff is just pretty basic, right? And that's okay. It takes a little longer, but that's fine. All right, taking these 10mm bolts out, we're going to put those back out, or back in rather, once we're done. Again, long bolts. Found this plate the other day at Harbor Freight, magnetic plate. Pretty cool, actually. Keep all these screws from going everywhere. Alright. Now, on to these retaining clips. Loosen those up. Just enough so that the sucker will move out. And like I said, let's not forget to get the little sensor that I showed you earlier, which is right under here. I forget whether that one is twist and pull. So let's take a quick look. Get that sucker out. Looks like we might have to go back to the video to check that out. I can't twist it. That's the problem too, when you've got fairly sizable hands. It's hard to get in some of these places. Alright, let's see here. Come off. Give me a little bit of a hard time, but you can see that you can't see shit actually. I'm not filming in the right spot, so. Alright, so let's get a closer look here. I loosened these up, pulled it out, loosened that one up, pulled it out. This little sensor, which I mentioned earlier, gave me a real tough time, and got to looking at it and figured, okay, well, why is it giving me such a hard time? You have to twist it, and it's kind of sticky. You know, twist it, wiggle it, and try to get that sucker out. There it goes. And there's the little sensor. Here's the thing that was giving me a hard time. So that is out. Now we get to pull this whole assembly out and set it to the side. All right, let's take the filter box out. We'll pop the clips. Looks like that clip was already popped. I think we've got another one here, which is also popped. And I thought there was a fourth one. Yeah, there it is. Okay, taking that piece clean off. Just twist and remove that. You'll notice in this case, one of them came off, but I had a number 4 here. and a number 4 here. Believe it or not, this is what I use to try to remember where to connect things. So I know, listen, I told you I'm not a professional. So filter, not too bad. Removing this, set those aside. And now this box has to be taken out. It is just basically plugged in at the bottom here, and you can just kind of rock it and pop it out, and the whole thing comes out. These are in the bottom here. So that's it for the air filter. All right, next thing is going to be the power steering reservoir, which is right here. You're gonna have to remove one bolt here. If you look all the way, oops, if you look all the way down here, you've got one. You've got a clip as well. Then we're gonna have to remove this particular bolt here. We're gonna have to go and remove the bolt up here, and those 3 that you see over there, 1, 2, 3, and then hidden all the way down there is another one right there that we're going to remove. This is all part of the big battery tray that we need to take out so we can move. And of course, eventually, we're going to have to get to disconnecting that particular fuse box. So this is where I think things are going to get a little bit interesting. What we're trying to get to is in here, right? Cams and the rocker arms and everything is in there. So still have a way to go, but we'll get there. All right, so let's get those going. Starting with this one. That sucker's out. Now, of course, we got the one all the way down there, which we need to get to. So, handy dandy extension. See if we can get to it. Alright, looks like that is out. Got stuck a little bit. And continuing on with this particular one. Always amazed at how long these screws are, you know? All right. And again, I know I was talking about my little plate earlier and I totally forgot it. Well, here it is. Hold all of my stuff. Let's get to the ones that are down here on the side. One. Sometimes it's not that easy fitting in there. And this is actually not too bad. All right, so all 3 of these right there, go right there. And I do have that one all the way down, which I need to get to. I'm not sure I can see it without. Yes, I can. All right, last one there. All right, next thing is the evap line for the fuel system. And again, I might sound like I know what I'm talking about. I have no clue what it is, but it is one of those things that we will have to take off of here. All right, and there is some kind of clip here that needs to come off. Looks like you can just push it open and the little piece comes out. And you can then just twist it a little bit, have it loosen up. And she should come apart, unless that clip is supposed to come with it. I don't want to force it because obviously I don't want to Don't want to mess this up. Sounds like it would be some kind of sensitive gear. Took a look at the video again, and it was kind of hidden, but it looked like it was pushing on this particular piece here. This particular piece. Didn't say anything, just, you know, kind of doing it. And again, these guys know what they're doing. So a lot of times, you know, sure enough, that was it. A lot of times, basically, they just do their thing, right? So this is another lesson learned, right? Next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on getting this fuse box out. And for now, though, I'm going to take that little clip because I don't want to lose it. And I'm going to try to see if I can put it back kind of where it was. I think it was like this. Yep, clips right back in. That way she's back on there. And we'll take care of this next. All right, next step, removing the fuse distribution box. We're going to have a screwdriver for this, and we're also going to need one of those body panel prying, you know, the little plastic pieces that always seem to break. Well, this helps to pry them up. Tool you can find at AutoZone, very cheap, worth having. So we need to get into the clips here onto the side and just try to loosen these up a little bit. So let's see if we can get that done. Not sure what to listen for exactly. I could see the little clip moving. I could see that there is one here as well. Kind of see the box moving a little bit. We have it on all four sides, so should be coming loose. There she comes. All right, so there she is. Heavier than I thought it would be. Next particular step is to remove that one connector here from the fuel evap line by moving. And the video I saw, the guy was using a pick, which I guess you can, to move this little red tab over, right? So that this could then basically unplug. See if we can actually do it without. Get the whole way over. Maybe you needed that pick, I don't know. There we go. I didn't have it clipped all the way, so make sure you pull that little sucker all the way out. And there you go. All right, there's always something. So, place this over here. This particular one needs to work its way, I believe, on the other side somehow. But for now, we'll leave it here. So in the video I watched, a gentleman was using one of these prying tools, right, to get these little things disconnected from the battery tray, right, from this particular one. I didn't think he did a very good job of showing exactly where. He's probably familiar, you know, as to where they are. I mean, you've got some here, you've got some here, you've got some a little everywhere. I'm going to have to kind of search for them and to try to get them all off. I'm sure there'll be some underneath somewhere that I'm going to have to find. So this may look a little chaotic, but bottom line is we have to basically get all of those out. Eventually get the main power, which is on this side, disconnected from the distribution box. We're going to have to part, as he said, which I thought was a good way of putting it. We're going to have to part the cables, some to the left, some to the right, or right and left. And the battery box should come out right in the middle, which I think sounds a little easier than done, but you know what? We will give it a shot and let's see what happens. So some of this might be a little challenging to see, but some of it you can see. Essentially, we're going to get all these harnesses off, right? So I'm going to pop these little clips with this tool, which honestly is a lifesaver. Very handy little tool. So I'm going to start popping clips everywhere, kind of get these disconnected. I think there are a number of them. I believe there was one all the way at the bottom here as well. A little harder to get to. that one. And I think there is one under here as well. On here. Alright, which I think loosens up the majority of this. Maybe there's another one here. Yep, sure enough. Alright, so that tray is moving. And now, as the gentleman there was saying in the video, we need to kind of part the seas, right? And see how we're going to get this out. But first, we're going to have to open this box here so that we can actually disconnect. And let me see if I can get that sucker open or if I need anything else. All right, so we'll pop open the fuse box. We'll try to get this particular cable here, which is connecting the whole thing. Try to get one disconnected. All right. Again, let's put the screw back on, or the nut in this case back on. That way, no risk of losing that sucker. All right, so we have to now try to part all of these things, right? And we're gonna have a fuse box coming one way, and a lot of the electrical cabling going the other way. This looked very chaotic in the video that I watched. I kind of see where the guy was going with it. He did mention a ground wire that needs to be disconnected here, so let me see if I can find that. There is a ground wire with a bolt in it. I do not yet see it, but let me see where that could be. I believe this is the one right here. Not quite sure how to get to that though. Problem in the video that he actually shared, you didn't get to see that really well. So this is what you're going to run into sometimes, right? Especially when you don't know what the hell you're doing, which is my case. I do see a nut here. He got to it with a power tool. How he did that, I don't know, because the battery case is actually covering it. So I'm not sure whether, you know, he loosened any of it and got some of this out. But I mean, you can see a lot of stuff now can in fact move pretty freely, and that we should be able to basically move this whole thing here out. But for now, I still need to worry about that one ground, which I do not see, which is interesting. So I'll try to keep pushing some of these out here. I believe, maybe, hang on. Ah, there it is. All right, this is the ground that he was talking about right here. I don't know if you can see it. I believe it is a 10 millimeter as well. So I'll remove that. That has, in fact, fallen down there. As I mentioned earlier, invest in one of these. You will not regret it. So I've got that back, saved myself a little bit of frustration and cursing. And I'm going to remove that particular wire, which is this one. So again, parting some of the electrical on the right side. I'm going to put this back as well. That way, less of a chance of this just being a problem later. All right. Sucker's back there. So now let's see if we can kind of shake this sucker loose. Well, I do notice that I have a couple more things that need to be taken out here. This particular one. All right, and I believe the clip for the reservoir, which I didn't do, so that is also something that has to move. And I believe I didn't take this bolt completely out either. So at the end of the battery tray, so let me loosen that all the way up and get him out as well. Boom. That was just one left. So let's see if we can get this tray out somehow by some miracle. If this thing does come out. It's moving. It's moving. It wants to go. It needs to go. So I'm going to continue this. Alright. Not sure what this particular cable is. Again, trying to move around until you pretty much see the path. Amazing how they build these cars and shove all of this stuff in there. You know, there we go. It looks like we're getting there. All right. Looks like we've got a battery tray removed. Well, that was fun. Little note to self here. This particular one, this cable here, which I had said basically was kind of straddling over and I couldn't figure out where it was going. Well, it was connected here all the way to the positive. So I actually took this off and basically now removed it over to the fuse box side. So that's where it is right now. So let me show you what's next. These coolant lines, we need to get them out of the way. We've got two bolts here that are 10mm bolts. They're kind of hidden here, right here. Boom, boom. We're going to remove those. We're going to go all the way down here, and we're going to take the clip off all the way down there. Remove the clip from this one, and remove the clip from the other one, which is a little closer, which is right here. A little bit tough to film down there, but doable. But in the end, that's what's happening. Was recommended to put a pan down there. I'm looking at my pan. I don't think it's aligned properly to catch all that coolant that's going to fall out. But the goal is to get these two lines out of the way. All right. Loosen the clip. You take a big wrench like this. Just bring these two together nice and tight. You can slide it off. Problem is, the plastic's been on this for so long. Kind of melted on it. Kind of the same issue down there. Managed to move the clip. This is really glued on. So I may have to buy hose replacements and just cut the hoses and then clean it up. So, made an absolute mess when cutting the hose. Pretty much everything outside of the pan I put in there, but I did get that little sucker off. It was latched on super tight. Basically what's going to happen is I'm going to get a new hose for this connector, connect it back to that, and down there the same thing. I basically just cut this one, and once I get this kind of out of the way with the two 10mm screws that we're going to take off, I'll fix that. So it's just a matter of buying a couple of hoses. Yeah, I made a mess, but not the end of the world. Again, when you're clueless, this is what you do. All right, let's get these two off here. Again, 10mm. That's one. And two. Right. This will allow us to get those lines out of the way, those coolant lines. Get everything pretty much out of the way. You can see the mess I made here with these tubes, but I'm going to be able to get this tube off now and pretty much not have to worry about it. I'm going to put the bolts back where they were. I would imagine this comes back off later. All right, next step here is going to be to disconnect some of these things. I won't pretend to know what the names of them are, but bottom line is we just have to get some of the cabling disconnected. So this big one right here is one of the first ones. It's got this little safety. So pull that out, and then on the side there's supposed to be 2 clips. There's one here, and we're going to slide this basically towards me, and then just pop that one out. There are some, I believe, 13 millimeter clips that we need to take off. So right here at this little one, I don't know if that's a 13, I think it might be. So let me change sockets real quick. I believe that the first one you want to take out is going to be this one. Again, one of those little red tabs, tiny little red one. Let's see which way this sucker flips. I don't know if it goes forward, backwards. Might go this way. This is the whole trial and error. Again, the video, unfortunately, that I was watching doesn't really give me much of a sense of things. I don't want to force it, so I'm kind of trying different things. Maybe push it in. But, you know, last thing I need is to break this too. I've already busted 2 hoses, which I'm going to have to change. But a hose I don't mind. Start dealing with the electrical, and, you know, you've got a bunch of other problems. So I'm going to have to rewatch, I guess, a different video maybe and see how this, and I bet you it's something simple too. I just don't want to force it, so we shall see. So as I thought, on this little one, on this little red tab right here, it's one of those where you have to move it upward. It's funny because you don't want to force it, but it does take a little bit of strength to get that sucker up. There you go. There she goes. And I should be able to get this out. Or at least one would think. Maybe prodding it a little bit. Maybe not. I don't know if there's another safety to this, but these are the little things that get frustrating sometimes. And again, you know, there you go. Don't want to be doing it like a madman because I don't want to rip the whole thing out, but it's kind of one of the things that you got going that way. All right. Now this one is a 13. This out. Get this disconnected. Let's put this back on here. All right, and we're gonna have to basically start moving some of this stuff around and disconnecting some of this stuff. I have to watch the next video to tell you exactly what we're gonna take off. So I'll probably wind up doing a time lapse, but I'm gonna start taking out a whole bunch of things. This big plate here with the 4 bolts. Bolts are down there as well on the side. You can see the 2 here. Gonna remove all of that. Gonna remove all this. The PCV valve supposedly in the back of this, all the way back there, I'm going to need a special tool for T25 and my little helpers here. So here's what I do next. I take some of these little color stickers, and basically, because I'm never sure where things go, I wind up applying color stickers to various sections so that this way, when I put things back together, I kind of have a sense of where things go. So that way I can do this, and I can mark them with a pen. 1 line, 2 line, know exactly which one goes where. Little trick which works for me. All right, a few things to look at here. Let me get this out of the way. Started taking apart some of the wiring harness. You'll notice these clips, which came out of here, you have to flip these up. On this, they were really, really tight, and it still took some work even after that. I had to yank it up. You can see back there is that PCV valve. I pulled the tube off of it. You can see the top of it right there. And to the right of it is the top of the tube. So there is a T25 screw at the top, and I believe at the bottom as well. I'm going to try to get to that, and that might take me a little while. And then it's a matter of doing the all of the cover buttons and getting this out. In the meantime, this super friable plastic, which is all burnt out and messed up, started kind of breaking apart. So this is something I'm going to have to be concerned about when I open up the valve cover, because obviously I don't want all that junk to go in there. So, all right, we got the PCV valve out, popped it out the back there. So that's done. Now onto the header cover. I believe we got one all the way in the corner back there, which I'm gonna have a hard time getting to, I'm sure. Got one all the way down in here. I'm not sure I got that. All right, let's keep trying. Alright, climb in here a little bit. Believe should be able to get this out of the way. All right, so let's see. Still dealing with a couple of things down here. All right, I'll unplug that in a second. Right now, let's see if that valve cover even moves. Yeah, starting to. Missing one here. And left that in here. I don't know if that back one actually moved or not. It doesn't feel like it did. And there's another one here, which I have to get. That's the one. Not sure if that does it. I think we got that corner one, yeah. Somehow work our way in there. Pretty sure that's all of them. Again, this stuff is in the way, so I'm going to deal with that back in a minute. One thing I did not do is remove the cam phasers, which are right here. So this has got to get taken out as well. Alright, let's get these little guys out. I know I got my stickers on things. I like having my stickers on things. Helps me find my way later. Like I said, the day I become a full-fledged mechanic, which is not going to be tomorrow. There we go. I will then basically stop using stickers, but not for now. I don't know if this is what was keeping me from getting the cover off, but I do recall that I have to take this out. So might as well get that done as well. And I bought this mini wrench here. Let me show you in a second. Bought this little mini wrench with my little T25 on there. Very, very useful for getting that PCV valve out. A big one I don't think would have done it. Alrighty, 3 screws for each. Let's see. Pull that one out as well. Good to go. Now, again, not sure. Could be the gasket. Could be a host of other things. I'm going to move the camera and try this in a different angle. Let's remove this cover. Nice and easy. Try to get, I don't know how to get out of the way here. Something might be catching. No. Try to figure out what might still be catching here, if anything. Maybe something's in the way back here. It always sucks to get this close. Alright, got the cover off. A bit of a battle there, but managed to get that off. So, looking at it, the cam is scored in some areas. Kind of worn. Doesn't look horrible, I guess, but the one thing to look at is those 4 holes. Actually, there's supposed to be 4. See the 2 here. 1, 2, which is supposed to be perpendicular. 2 the engine block there. They were a little bit off, it would seem. I need to kind of read up on some of this stuff, figure out what needs to be done with it. That's going to be the next step. It's going to be important to place all this stuff like really in order. Clean up all the mess here. A lot of dirt and crap on this one that we're going to have to take out. But overall, not looking too bad. Some bumps here. I'm going to have to look into that. Here as well. That might be normal. I don't know. Anyways, we'll be taking a look at that. Oh, fun little thing you can do. You can see the rocker arms down here. These don't move. You can't hear any clicking. This one. Hear that noise? That's the ticking noise when the car's running. This is the bad rocker arm, this one. Could be some other ones. I played with the other ones. None of them really made that noise. I think that's the one right there. So, as far as the cams themselves, they say if they're scoring, you should replace. I mean, clearly they're scoring on these. They are worn out, so I'm thinking I'm going to replace both of them. Again, you can see markings on the camshafts. You got the exhaust and the intake. And every single bolt is marked on the side. Should have a 1E or 1I, then 2, then 3, then 4, so that you keep them in order. Also going to need apparently a 27mm socket to get these cam phasers lined up. I want both lines to be right in the center there together. And then I'll start using my tools to take this apart. Use my 27-inch wrench here to get these two markings perfectly lined up. Next step is going to be clean up the chain. Now, there is, according to the video, a triangle right here on this exhaust, right? And a dot on the other, right here. Now we're gonna mark the chain. We're gonna degrease it first, and we're gonna mark it, and then we'll be good to go. So we're now going to mark this. I degreased it. Put a mark right here. Kind of know where the chain was. Same thing for this one. Mark it on here. It's a nice little tire paint pen. Looks just fine. I mark everything. Anyways, all good. All right, next we're gonna need our tool here, our block. These are the tools I mentioned earlier. You will see written on here, right side. And obviously this is the one we're gonna use for the right, and then the tool to release the tension on the chain. Block will go right here in the center, and the tool right there in the back, which will allow us to work on these two. Try to release these bolts, and then eventually pull one cam phaser off at a time, let the chain hang. We've got them marked already, and go on to working the left side, the exhaust side first. All right, let's see if we can get this block in here. Just double checking, it is the right one. All right, there we go. Just took a little bit of coaxing there with the wrench. That's all good. That's in there. All right, perfect. All right, well, I couldn't get this tool in here to release the tension with the chain. Just couldn't do it. I actually broke one of them in there. Luckily, not all the way in, so I was able to get the piece that was broken. I was able to get it out, but bottom line is I lost patience. So just wound up loosening the cam phasers and removing them completely, removing that first one. So here it is. This is what it looks like. The important thing to note about this, they're magnetized. Don't put them close to any kind of magnet. So the magnet plate I showed you earlier, don't put that next to it. Make sure also the cams themselves are magnetized, so you don't want to touch them together. And now that this is removed, I've got this out here. I'll deal with it when I have to put it back. But for now, I'm just going to put this away, and I'm going to loosen these bolts. And important again to keep these in order. They all have inscriptions, or should have some kind of engraving on the side. Once I pull them off, I'll take a look and make sure that you know which ones you have pulled off, so that you can actually put them back in the proper order. Now, for some reason, the microphone stopped working for the next few minutes, so this is actually voiceover. So if you're wondering why my voice doesn't match the image you're seeing, it's because I've lost the sound. So in this particular video, though, we're showing the loosening of the camshaft, I forget what they're called, I think bearing caps. So loosening of all of them. You would hear in the video this tight click basically as you loosen each one. And important to use obviously the proper T socket for it. So I think it was T25 or T30. I can't remember which one, but obviously get yourself a socket set and you can test which one it is. Important that these be really fitting snugly in there so that you don't strip any of them, because if you strip one of those, you're in for a really, really bad day. So in this particular video, basically I wind up taking each one of them, loosening each one of them, and then make sure that on each piece that you remove, 2 bolts on each one, make sure you place them on a mat in order so you know exactly what order you'll have to put them back in on. On the side of each one, you will have either an E-1 for the first bolt, and E-2, E-3, E-4, and then on the other one, E for exhaust, and then on the other one, you'll have an I-1, 2, 3, 4. For the intake. So important that you keep these in nice order, and I typically like to draw a diagram on a table and literally place the parts there so that when I put them back, they're in order. So again, on this portion here, showing the removal of the camshaft, I have some damage and some wear on the camshaft. Again, my volume went out, so you wouldn't hear the commentary, but you can see by the video that there is some scoring on the actual camshaft. That particular one, I don't believe was the one that had the massive amount of scoring on the back, but in the end, there was damage across the board on those. So a camshaft typically will run you $500 and change. Highly recommend that you don't buy, some kind of aftermarket part. Go and get a manufacturer part for this. It's just too important. Same for the rocker arms and the lifters. It's if you're gonna do it, just do it right. You're still saving money by doing it yourself, but in the end, you want the proper parts to be in that engine. The volume will eventually come back here in a few seconds, but what you're seeing me do is take this this little Tupperware that I put oil in, and I soaked the rocker arms and the lifters in there, essentially making sure that they're really well oiled as I place them in the engine, in the block. So, make sure again that you get your original manufacturer's equipment, proper lifters and proper rocker arms. The rocker arms are the source of the issues we've been having on this one. So you want to make sure you get good ones. Make sure you check them, wiggle them, make sure that they're not defective as you replace them. That's it. So I would hope, and I would imagine that my ticking sound was on the other side. But for now, all new lifters, all new rocker arms. Let's get that cam back in. Then there'll be a particular order for tightening things down. I believe it's 89 foot-pounds of torque. I will double check and confirm that in a second. All right, so we have our new camshaft right here, bright and shiny. Let's get that little sucker back in there. I put some oil on the rocker arms just to get it all kind of ready. There we go. Again, with the holes facing up, it just sits right in there. And we're gonna oil it up a little more before we start putting our brackets back. So some oil back on there. I know. There are tools for this, or not tools, but bottles or whatever else. I don't have them, so I use my finger. All right, now for the assemblies, we'll put them on one at a time. A little bit of oil here before putting it in. Make sure this thing is lubed up. All right, there's my first one. And then E2, my second one. Again, I'm gonna put a little bit of oil there. Make sure it is facing the correct way. Okay. Since I'm blind as a bat, I'm going to double check to practice what I preach here. Did I, in fact, do this correctly? I did. There's the 1E, so okay. Just want to make sure. Better safe than sorry. I told you I'm clueless, so I'll beat having to redo this a little later, obviously. And let's get the other two in there as well. Number 3 here. Again, with a little arrow. You can see hopefully the little arrow pointing. You want that towards the front. Put a little bit of oil in that one as well. Off we go here. Yours get quite oily. All right. And then 4E. Again, with the little arrow, get a little bit of oil in there. And let's get that one placed on here as well. All right, so with that, dry my hands off a little bit. I'm gonna dry some of those bolts off a little bit too, because they're covered in oil. Better to have oil than not, right? But I don't want to be slipping all over the place, so I'll try to dry this out a little bit. Now, the tightening sequence, I will put this in the video, but for now, I will not tighten, and it's inch, not pound foot, 89 inch foot, but this is just to tighten a little bit. And the sequence is okay, then the front. Okay. The top one. Here. All right. Let's get to torquing these suckers. Well, let's try that again, folks, because I am an absolute idiot. I, in fact, have this, I believe, the wrong way, which I can't believe I did. But I am a bit of a dummy. And like I said, this is not something I do for a living. Not quite sure why this sucker now won't get up. I think I might have gotten it stuck, which is brilliant on my part. That is a problem. How's this possible? This is interesting. I haven't seen a video on that. That sucker won't move. Did I miss 1, 2, 3, 4? Oh goodness. Goodness. I'm a bit at a loss here. I'm amazed at how fucking stupid I am, but it turns, so it should. Oh my God, you gotta be kidding. All right, little tip, right? These are the two holes you want facing upward, not just these two. But, you know, right here, these two, that's not it. Flip her over, these two. Somehow I managed to get that wrong, which is pretty infuriating. But again, you know, yeah, you learn as you go, you figure things out. It got really stuck too, because I guess it's all magnets. The rocker arms are in place though. All right, let's try this again. And I'm so glad I figured this out before blowing up the engine. That's pretty good. So, again, 1E on the side here, facing here. I did put a little dab of oil on it. I'm looking for number 2. There we go. 2E. 2E right here on the side. Putting this sucker in. Three. And again, the idea, these two facing up, kind of perpendicular to the engine block. And 4 writings on the inside, that's correct. Let's get that sucker in. And listen, I could edit out the mistake, right? I could tell you, oh yeah, I figured this out. But fact is that I say this over and over. I am clueless when it comes to this. I am doing it based on YouTube videos and learning. And, you know, trying my best. So let's see now if we can get those in. Remember the pattern again. This one first. Nice and light, not tightening. It's kind of settling here in the front. And up here. Okay. All right. Okay. These still look to be pointing up. Kind of settled a little bit. Let's go to the tightening. All right. Set this wrench at 89 inches. Don't know how to say it. Inches pound, I guess, which is weird. But anyways, or 10 nm as written on the side. Trying to get these tightened. I did start with this one here just to test it out, see if this wrench actually kind of works. I guess once it does that, that means it's good to go. It does seem rather light in terms of tightening, I'll be honest. I have to double check that just to be sure, because it does seem really, really light. And then finishing off down here. Again, I think it's light. I'm gonna have to double check this. Come back in a minute and figure it out. But that's what it reads here, so. All right. This might be real interesting. Gotta get the cam phaser back on. These are where the marks were for the timing chain. Push this in a bit. I kind of loosened this one a little because I couldn't get that tool in, so now I gotta tighten that sucker back up, give myself room to get back on there. I'm trying to keep my big head out of the way.
close by, but I'm trying to push this out of the way. Close. Kind of been a catch-22 because if I release this sucker, everything goes. I do feel I'm on the cam though, so try to wiggle that sucker out as I pull this one. There we go. All right, so you see the marks are lined up, which is good news. This one is loosened. I'm gonna have to get my block back in for me to get the phaser bolt back in there. I'm gonna have to tighten that down, but it's lined up. My two holes are still facing up. All my rocker arms are in correctly. All there. They're doing their thing. So I think overall I'm happy. Yeah, I did my 89 inches pounds of torque, or 10 Newton meters, NM, 10 NM on the torque wrench. Doesn't seem like a lot, but I guess that's what they say. So I'm gonna go with it, and let me get my bolt back in here, or my block, I should say, and we'll go from there. All right, my block's back in. Took a little bit of hammering. I mean, just a small amount. Again, I'm happy with the timing, aligning here, happy with the holes being up. So this is going to be a lot more pressure on the bolt than we did before. This is going to be 110 foot-pounds of torque, which is going to require a bigger wrench, which I will get here in a sec. Again, the block keeping this from moving, and a finger tight onto the wrench. All right, got my tool in, finally. Hear kind of a squishy sound when you get it in there. Now, just removing the phaser bolt here on the other side so that we can remove everything on the other side and change the camshaft there, and the rocker arms and the lifters. This does take some pressure off the chain. I remember doing the work on the other side, and man, getting that chain, you need the little pick tool and everything else, and just getting that thing back on there, really frustrating. All right, still got paint on my chain. It still lines up here to the cam phaser. So getting to it. All right, they say also to depress here, make sure it's nice and easy to depress this little button here. So looks like it's working real well, no problem there. So I'll put this bolt here, and kind of slowly wiggle it off. Take it off and let the chain just drop gently. There we go. Again, don't put it next to magnets or anything like that. Put it on a shelf away from everything. And we'll be putting that thing back on later. Okay, same story here. I'm gonna loosen these up, and then just with the manual wrench, just loosen them up a bit. Then we'll use our electric screwdriver after that. Helps to have these longer wrenches, especially if you've got the room to move it, which you don't always have in here. You just don't need to apply as much pressure to get these things to loosen up. Of course, right when I say that, it's gonna give me a hard time, so that's lesson learned. Don't celebrate too early. All right. And let's go for our last one here. Oh, let's go a different way. Here we go. All right, next we're gonna get all these out, but I'm gonna do it in a bit of a speedy fashion because pointless having you guys just stare at me while I take 8 bolts out, right? All right, got this one out. Let's see how this looks. A lot of marks on this bad one, on this back one here. I don't know if you guys can see this. A lot of marks right here. I would say that rocker arm that's actually failing is the one back here, if I had to guess. Sure enough, there it is. This is the one. Rocking back and forth. You do not want any play in this, and sure enough, this one's got it. This is our bad one. This one's good. Let me take out the lifters as well. Take out these lifters. The rocker arm here, that one's solid. So all it takes is one bad one, and that one's good. Get that lifter out. This rocker arm and this lifter. So yeah, only the one bad one, but definitely this camshaft is done for. All right, time to get the new gear in. So let's get the new lifters in and rocker arms. Again, soaking in oil here. Pretty easy process. That's one of the easiest things out of all of this. All right, make sure they're all seated. They're all on there. Next, our new camshaft. So here's the new camshaft. Again, set me back about 560 bucks. You'll notice the 2 holes that we want facing up. So we're not gonna make the same mistake we made on that first one. And then you see RI, right intake, which is this one. So let's get that in. Actually, let's oil up a little bit the various spots here where it's going to be sitting. I know it's not very technical here using your finger, but you know what? It does the job. Okay, looking for those two circles perpendicular. And she's gonna lay like this. Again, facing upward. Remember, we're gonna start putting back our various clips here, not clips, whatever they're called. So the writing is the important part, right? 4i, 4 intake, you see the arrow. So I want to make sure that I've got this with the arrow facing correctly, facing the front. Number 4 is all the way back there. Okay, the same thing on the other side. Let's just get that finger tight in here for now. Looking for number 3 now. Here's my number 3. Again, maybe a little dab of oil wouldn't hurt here. Seen guys do it a bunch of different ways, right? Do it on here as well. Since we skipped that step here, let's go back. I told you I'm a complete amateur. But you know what? If you are too, you can learn from my mistakes and my omissions. I will say this, I will reiterate this. I wouldn't watch my videos as far as for any other reason than to figure out what not to do. In the end, I think I will get this fixed, but I'd much rather you watch guys that are mechanics. Don't get me wrong, I mean, it's great that people watch this, but true mechanics, though, unfortunately, a lot of times they'll assume that people know what they know, which, let's face it, is not the case. All right, so this one here, number 2i. In. I guess the cam wasn't sitting completely, it is now. Okay, still making sure that everything's facing upward. You can move this a little bit after I've done it. I actually used a screwdriver, put it in there, kind of twisted it back where I needed it. Don't know if that's the proper way, but it works. That was before putting the cam phasers back on the other one. All right, now we're gonna tighten using our actual tool, and then we're gonna torque it to 89 inch-pound of torque. All right, the sequence, there's also a sequence for that one, which I believe is the same as the other. Actually, no, it is not the same as the other. Let me go check. All right. I will put this in the chat. This is the order by which it needs to be tightened. I'm sure some already called me out on the first one. I think I jacked up the order on the first one, but you know what? We'll see what it does. In the end, this is the order, so I'm gonna put this here for my reference and start doing it the way it should be done. So. My tool is dying, of course, why wouldn't it? Perfect timing. Charge your tools. Yeah. That would be the lesson, right? Let's go charge it. Oh, I bought this badass tool. This Quinn wrench. All sorts of settings that you can do with this. Right now, I've got it set to the 89 inch-pounds of torque. I don't think I'll ever get used to saying inch-pounds, but pretty neat because you'll hear it beeping as you get close, and then it'll do a long beep when you've reached the 89, right? The only problem is it's huge. So in terms of getting it maneuvered in there, I'm sure I'll struggle, but kind of a cool one. I wasn't sure with the other wrench whether I was doing it right, you know, so again, here's the maneuvering issue, right? This is the big problem. All right, anyways, so let's look at our diagram again for tightening. 1, 2, so this one here. See the numbers shifting. 78. Tell me I'm getting close. I'm right there. Next one, which again with the tool here in the way, the plastic tool in the way, not super convenient. Gotta get it just right. There were several twists. The other one's in. There we go. Okay. That's 1 and 2, 3 and 4 things gonna be a little tougher because this is in the way. So let's see if I can get it from the back here, but yeah, be a bit of a problem. I think I'll have to go with my other wrench, or maybe this way. Okay. I have to admit I'm balancing on this bumper. It's not fun, but we're gonna get there. Okay, that's good. So that's 3, 4. Now 5, 6, right here. You know, when I look at it, I'm like, okay, do I have this backwards? No, I think I do. Holy shit, I suck at this. So I'm looking at this picture here, and have I been doing this backwards? I gotta admit, I'm not sure. At least it's facing up. Yeah, I think that's what the thing is showing. The two holes. All right. I'll have to edit some of this crap out because I just suck at this, let's face it. Yeah, I'm still confused. That's the front. I'm not even sure at this point. I don't think I got this tight yet either, right? Maybe this one. Yeah, these are the ones I haven't done. And that is label 1, 2. Yeah, so I I jacked this up completely. You know what? Don't do what I do. People are gonna have some fun with this. You know what though? If she starts and she runs, well, it'll be my vindication. So let's check all of them just to make sure that every single one of them is good. I want to make sure they're tightened. This is important because then you can get to what I'm just getting to here, which is the ones that you haven't tightened properly or tightened at all, which is the last thing you want. This one has a lot of play. I should really refilm this and do it properly, but too freaking lazy. Too freaking lazy. All right. Back one's tight. This one's tight. This one's tight. 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 And the last two, just to be sure. Yep. Good. So, yeah, I screwed up the order. Fine. I get it. That's what happens when the diagram's upside down. Kind of reminds me of when I look at maps. I'm not very good with that either. So, in any case, it's in there. Next step, put the cam phaser back on. Make sure it's all aligned. I'll put my block back in here and tie the cam phaser bolts. Then it's gonna be time to clean the sucker up, close it back up, and start putting everything back in place. All right, got my cam phaser now. We'll pick up the chain where the mark was. Try to line this up. Line this up with where this was sitting, the mark on the chain. Right now we can see we got that lined up. Cam might need to align a little bit, is what I was talking about earlier. I use this to kind of get it right where it needs to be, so it slid right back in, which is nice. I'll get my cam phaser bolt, which of course I left on the table. Gonna go get that and put that back in. There she is. Making sure this little button can be depressed easily. It can be. Right now, what am I looking for? I still want these four facing up. I want my paint marks to be lined up where they were. The two lines here, I want those nice and aligned. So I mean, so far, stuff looks aligned. And while I screwed up a lot of stuff, I will grant you, I think that at least that part or those parts are properly done. So, and this phaser bolt is very slippery, but I'll have to tighten both of them. wind up doing some editing on this anyways. Because it takes forever. Alright, I think I can remove the tool here for now. Get that tension back in. This tool I finally got in, like I told you. I had to oil it up a little bit. It's really hard to figure out where to go. There are two bolts, right? There's one there, one there. You're tempted to put it on that one, but in fact it's the second one that slides in. You hear kind of a gurgling sound when the thing depresses. But anyways, I'm gonna get my wrench, take care of this. All right, next up, let's get these to 110 foot-pounds of torque. I'm using a different one here. Get this nice and seated. Gonna have to get some leverage on this one. These have to be a lot tighter. Oh, yep, you see what I forgot? I'm screwing things up again. Forgot my block to keep this from sliding. I swear, man, I fucking suck at this. I really suck at this. All right, put your block in. Hopefully I didn't move everything to it. It doesn't want to go in. I might have screwed things up a little bit. Have to get my wrench. Move that a bit. It's gonna turn into a what not to do video, man. Really is. Leverage is a bitch here. Can't get any leverage. I'm trying to stand on a step stool at the same time. Got stuff all over the bumper. And I can't get that block in, so. Kills me sometimes, you know? I'm such an amateur. I wish I knew what the hell I was doing. But, you know the old saying, poop in one hand, wish in the other, see which one fills up first. Right now I'm dealing with the second. So, can't seem to get that sucker in. Which is a problem because I can't torque to 110 without messing things up. All right. Chewing up the block a little bit. Get a little more leverage out of them. All right, try to get the tool back in, see if relieving the tension there will maybe help out. All right. Not sure if that'll do anything. Oh, good Lord. All right, well, here's what I did, right? The way I figure, when I put the phasers back on, everything was lined up. So the fact that I turned them a little bit when I forgot to put the block, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that should be much of an issue, because essentially the phasers were put back on the cams the way they were supposed to be. So now it's just a matter basically of rotating and getting these aligned again, if I wanted to get them aligned again, but I don't necessarily have to, because basically I got my block in now. And now I can go to my 110 foot-pounds of torque here. I'll switch that over so you can see it. So put that in here. Try to get my leverage. Get it nice and flush and go to 110. Definitely gonna have to stand on that to get the leverage I need for that kind of juice. So 110 is going to be about here. It's tightening. Right about 110 there, okay. Our other one on. And again, 110 being right around here. Right on it. Okay. All right. Well, that was fun. So both cams are changed. All the rocker arms, all the lifters. I'm gonna take this block out. If I can get it out, which I'll play with in a minute, I'm gonna clean all of this up and start working on piecing this thing back together. For the next step, I'm changing out the gasket, putting in a new one. Bought this one at AutoZone. Should work just fine. Making sure it goes in. Don't think I could screw that one up, but then again, I know that putting this on is going to be interesting. It was interesting on the first one. Just taking this cover out was a bit of a pain, but these little tabs here were on the original one. The original one was a white one. Thing is here, just making sure this is seated properly. Give a good seal. Don't want to start having oil leaks, other issues. And I don't want the thing to flop out when I'm just flipping it over to screw it back on. All right. I think for the most part here, it looks pretty good. The old one, I don't know, might have been able to reuse it. Looks kind of crappy, very oily, kind of beat up. Figured better off with a new one. Next step is to get yourself some RTV silicone. You're gonna wind up putting a bead of this stuff. Let me show you where here. Right here. Right between the joint, basically, where you see the seam between the cover here and the engine block. Right there is where you're gonna put a bead, about 1/8 on here and on the other side as well. Dries in about 10-15 minutes. You want to put your cover on after that. So we're going to put a nice bead on here, and then we're going to replace our cover starting from the back where that PCV valve is and that back left. And then we'll start snugging from the middle out in a crisscross pattern. So, but don't forget, seal this up, because if not, you're going to get some leaks. All right, let's get some of that RTV on there. Right here. Same for the other side. That joint is right here. Kind of tricky to see. Okay. All right, I'll do my best not to cover things up here as I do it. Basically, we want to go from the back, getting this portion here where the PCV valve goes, getting that in first. So this is going to take a little bit of juggling around, especially stepping in here to try to get that in there. A lot of things in the way. See, all this tubing is in the way. It's a real challenge to get that in there. Stuck on something. Trying to figure out what's holding things up. Can't get the leverage. Not in the right spot. Etc., etc. See if getting a little closer is going to help. Do this. Very difficult to see where I am, what's blocking. So it's a real pain in the ass. Can't wait to get that PCV thing back in too. That's gonna be fun. I have no clue what's keeping it right now. Just can't tell. But I know I'm not there. So, pull this back out. reevaluate. See if there's a different angle. Okay. Looks like there's a little bit of progress here. But then again, looks can be deceiving. There we go. All right, feels like it's sitting on here a little bit. Try to see if I can get some of these finger tight. They're lined up. Seems like they're going in. Alright, tightening with my fingers. Just try to see if everything lines up. You don't want one that doesn't line up. Again, the challenge always in the back. Some of these are just really, really difficult to get to. Trying to get the back to seat and then trying to get my hands in there. And it's turning. So that PCV thing is going to be a real pain. We've got some tightening. On most. Get this one in. I think most of them have gone in where they need to go. So that's good news. Hopefully we get ourselves a proper seal. Alright. I did lose the socket I was using for the big ones here. I'm going to need a socket that can go over the cover there, which I don't have. So I'm going to have to look for that here in a minute. But like I said, for the most part, seems everything's aligned. PCV valve again is going to be next. That's going to be more than interesting, because again, very little room to work back there. But first we're going to have to tighten all of these, so back for that. All right, let's get to tightening all these. So starting middle out. We're not going to go nuts. I'm going to do the tightening the spec after this. I have to look up what the spec is on that. I think it might be 105, I'm not sure. Inch pound. Starting in the middle. As the tool comes apart. Reaching back there, again, the challenge. See if we can go somehow and make it in. Last one here, which is really a pain, because you've got all this stuff in the way. And did this. Get this out of the way a bit. I think we're on it, so. All right, next up to spec. All right, so for the valve cover, the spec is gonna be 106 inch-pounds of torque. So we're gonna do this all around, again, working our way from the middle out. So start here. Okay, just about there. A little tougher with so many extensions on here. Let me see if I can maybe remove the extension I've got on it, because it's giving a bit of a false read here. The extension was useful. Let's see what it does here. Getting close, but it's not there. There you go. Starts beeping when we get close. All right, we do the other ones. I'll come back once we've got most of them. right around there. Okay, same over there. All right. Close. All right, I have to climb in here again. The other one. This is gonna be tough again. Not sure I can get in there. Okay. That one's good here. And really hard to get to. So here, I'm gonna have to move all this to get to that. Tough with such a long tool. I think I'll be able to get the leverage on this one. I may have to use my smaller one. All right. It's saying it's there. All right. And we had that one over there, which I'm gonna have to somehow get to. Falling. All right, come on, sucker. All right. 106 all around. I'll double check these again, but that's kind of what we're doing. So, this is the old PCV. This is the old one. I went and bought a new one just because I figured one guy in a video was talking about how oil backs up in there and all that, and it looks like they made the hole smaller. When you're on a steep incline, he was saying that basically the oil runs in there and you start burning oil and the car starts smoking. So this is a new one. And I'm gonna try to put that in there. It's my T25 to do so, but I'm gonna try to get it with my fingers first. And probably do it as a time lapse, because I'll be honest, this is gonna take quite some time, I think, to get in. Thank goodness for this little wrench, man. Got the PCV in, and that little wrench is really key to getting in there and getting that tight, so really happy about that. It took, yeah, it took a little bit of time. Just want to check the top one again real quick. Make sure she's tight. And of course, now that I put it on, you know, regular speed, it's not gonna want to go in, and it's gonna give me a hard time. But I'm gonna do it anyways, and I will edit. Honestly, it helps if you got one that I think I might have. There we go. Yeah, so it is tight. Helps if you got one that pivots like this, because this is a real hassle. All right, so now I'm gonna have to get that pipe back onto the ECV. Try to get that back on there, obviously, before we forget. There we go. And that sucker's on. A lot easier to put on than it is to take off. All right. So I need to go and research a little bit more what I need to do next. But I would say that the big job is done. Cover's back on. It's tight. Both cams are changed. Rockers, lifters, everything. Now it's just a matter of putting this back together, figuring out my order to do so, not forgetting anything, which obviously that's another story. But I will film this as well, so stand by. Well, I'm sure a lot of you were making fun of me for having my little stickers, but guess what? That helps me figure out where these cam phasers go in this particular case. And now you're thinking, what an idiot. Probably still thinking that, but the point is, it's helped me figure out where these go. And I'm gonna hand tighten those for now. And I'll use my little T25. Fact is, filming this, believe it or not, has been helpful for me. Not as therapy, but as just to figure out where things are and what I've been doing. It's easy to forget. Watching the videos is helpful. I will admit I don't like the sound of my voice on video, but it is what it is. So as you get closer to completing it, you start thinking, man, is this thing gonna actually start up? Is there a chance that what I just did actually works? Which I know for guys who do this all the time, right? Mechanics, they're like, yeah, you know how to do this. It's like, it's nothing, right? For someone who's never really turned a wrench, I will tell you that it's nerve-wracking, and when you do get it right, it is quite fulfilling. There goes my sticker, but I'm not going to need it right now. I know this one had the X on it, which will help me when I get the connector back. And like I said, worst case, I've got it on video. And all of these, check them again just to make sure. This one I hadn't tightened, so give them a check. This car is very tall. It's lifted. I'm very short, which when I'm traveling in economy is great because I can stretch out my legs, but when it comes to working on this freaking thing, I need to stretch to get up there. I do have a stool, but I don't feel like using it. Not for this one. Okay. Those are on. I think the next step is going to be putting back a whole bunch of connectors. By the way, while I was in here, let me pull this off. While I was in here, I did change this O2 sensor down there. Hard to get to, real pain in the ass. And this one used to give me, an error, check engine light. So took advantage of the fact that everything's out to replace that. Real easy, one connector here and just undo it there. So, all right. Put the battery tray back, reconnected everything here, all the connectors. Remember, I colored mine so I know which ones go where, re-screwed in everything. A lot of wiring, obviously, to go back. Fuse box was put back. I have to wait here. I can't put the rest of the air cleaner onto the coolant lines because I don't have the part, and I need to get the part before I put that back together. But the rest of everything is back together and back in place, and waiting to connect the battery. Got the ground back there. Got that one line that goes to the this particular line that goes to the positive. Got that back on. So just need to get those hoses, and once I get those hoses, I can connect that one here and that one down there over there, and then I can put back the rest of the air cleaner, refill it with coolant, and give her a go. And of course, don't forget this little sensor that goes into the air cleaner at the bottom. All right, everything's put back together. You can see the coolant hoses are back on. The ones at the bottom as well. Had to change them to new ones. Everything else is put back together. Put the little cover back on, and we're looking pretty good overall. Now, anytime you work on cams or anything like that, you have to recalibrate your system, connect to the computer, and basically get everything adjusted. So make sure that you follow. There are lots of videos online on how to do this. Buy one of these diagnostic tools to help you do it. Reset everything that you need to reset in the engine so that the thing functions well. As always, the moment of truth. Had to recalibrate it. Everything's working well. So no more check engine light, none of that. She's looking good. She's running well. She's sounding good. For a guy who's clueless, it's not too bad. But in the end, I do recommend that if you're going to get your vehicle fixed, don't try to do it yourself and get a professional. In the end, though, I had some fun doing it. I have to admit, most of it was frustrating, and I wanted to drink a lot. I did finish the bottle of whiskey. But good videos online. Hopefully this one helps you a little bit. And I know it's a long one, but you can fast forward through it. Anyways, until next time.